God, this is a god awful take, bro. I hate some of these takes on Twitter.
I want some nasty. Are we having fun yet?
All right, guys. So we're going to talk about Joshua Primo again, and I want to shed some light on this whole situation that not a lot of people are talking about, and it's really starting to bother me. So we're going to talk about this take, but before we do, as you guys know, quite a few people have went back to what Josh Primo said to ESPN, his statement on saying that he has mental health issues and he's dealing with previous trauma. And it really blows my mind that after this information comes out, what we're hearing, that people are going back to this and saying, wow, bro actually said it was some trauma. Bro actually said it's mental health issues. And I want to kind of talk about this and explore this a little bit more, because I'm getting I'll be honest, I'm getting tired and sick of people believing that mental health is only depression and anxiety. It's mind-blowing to me, especially when you have an entire DSM-5. I don't know if you guys ever seen this before, but this is called a DSM-5. And in a DSM-5, there is a plethora of different research, different diagnoses, just different mental health illnesses or struggles, challenges that people deal with on a daily basis. This isn't a justification for what he's done. This isn't it's okay that he did it because he had these things. It's just a reason why. And I don't understand how people can't have two different thoughts at once. He can also be responsible for his actions and have consequences to those actions. And he can also have mental health issues. I don't understand where people are coming from with this. If you guys don't know, I'm actually, and just a little self-disclosure, I am in the mental health field. So stuff like this really does bother me. It irritates the crap out of me. And I just want to go over it briefly, okay? I'm not going to dive into it. And I'm not going to try to diagnose him, but I am going to at least talk about what he might be experiencing and just kind of go through that, man. Now, really quickly, before we do, if you guys want to support the channel, clanthemerchfan.com, link in the description, okay? All right, we won't focus on that too much. So let me start with this take. This isn't god awful take, okay? Not saying it isn't a problem, but not enough of a problem to cut him. Put him on extended leave, require therapy, but don't cut him and then erase from any and all things Spurs. Just my 2 cents, but I think Spurs left someone hanging that needed help more than being taught a lesson. Now, this is an example of someone basically saying this is something that he's dealing with, therefore we need to give him the help. Let me say this. The San Antonio Spurs are not Joshua Primo's parents. The San Antonio Spurs are not Joshua Primo's friends. They're his employer. And in any other situation, if you're running a business or, just any situation really, if someone did that to a fellow employee, they will be gone. There is no, well, we need to hang on to them. And this is just a matter of having a parasocial relationship with Joshua Primo to the point where you will just excuse anything. That's my opinion. Also, saying that this isn't a problem, I feel like you kind of are saying this isn't a problem. And that's what I want to dive into, because he's not the only one. I've seen quite a few takes like this, like it's not that big a deal. It is. It's an issue. And this isn't something where, oh, he just gets, a month of therapy and everything's all good. Like, no, this is something that's very detrimental to, working with a team. And if the Spurs were an enabler and just allowed this to go on and on and on and allow him to have that power and access to, be able to do what he was doing, it's not going to help him. It's not going to help the organization. And it's just going to get bigger and bigger. And then we will sit back and say, what the heck were the San Antonio Spurs thinking? And I wasn't going to go in on this take, but then this was another reply he had. And F all of you criticizing because Kobe is literally worshipped now, and all of a sudden what happened in Colorado hotel room 19 years ago is forgotten. Please, unless stories come out that Primo was Harvey Weinstein, this was an overreact and could have been avoided. So this whole thing where you're saying that, not saying this isn't a problem, you're basically saying this isn't a problem because it didn't get on Harvey Weinstein level. This is a disgusting take, dude. This is an absolute disgusting take. There's actual victims out there. There's actual people that had to deal with what just happened and what Josh Primo was doing. Don't minimize it by saying that it has to be on the level of Harvey Weinstein. I mean, do you do that with any other situation? Does someone kill someone and you're like, well, they weren't Hitler? Like, shut up. This is an awful take. It's disgusting. It's gross. But anyways, let's move on. So let's go ahead and dive into what he possibly has. I'm not diagnosing. I'm not. But I'm just saying that I looked into the DSM-5 and I was like, what is it that Primo might be dealing with. All right. So a lot of people that say it's not trauma, it's not mental health issues. There's way more things than just anxiety and depression. All right. So let's go ahead and talk about it. All right. So he might be dealing with being an exhibitionist. And if you don't know what that is, let's go ahead and talk about the definition of that, if you will. So here are some of the symptoms. Over a period of at least 6 months, a person has recurrent and intense sexual arousing fantasies, behaviors, or urges that involve exposing the genitals to an unsuspecting person. The person has acted on these sexual urges with a non-consenting person, or the urges or fantasies cause marked distress or interpersonal difficulty in workplace or in everyday social situations. Now this is actually the reason why I sat back and I'm like, I don't know if the Spurs should deal with it, and it's going to be really hard for him to get another job in the NBA because of this. So this is describing the daily life of somebody with this disorder. Most important thing to know about living with this disorder or attempting to support this individual as they try to build a normal life is that it is a lifelong disorder with a high rate of recidivism. And if you don't know what this means, this basically means it's more than likely going to reoccur. Like it's something that's going to happen over and over and over again unless you basically get caught. It is a fact that behavior is difficulty to modify and or control. Now moving on, there's a few other things I want to talk about. So here are the causes. While little is known about the risk factors for the development of the disorder in males, they can include antisocial personality disorder, alcohol abuse, and an interest in pedophilia. Other factors that may be associated with the disorder includes sexual and emotional abuse during childhood and sexual preoccupation in childhood. Did you read that? One thing that can cause it is emotional abuse during childhood and sexual preoccupation in childhood. Now, I'm just going to leave that there. You guys can go look into it more if you want. They have some things on here about like what kind of helps through treatment, CBT, medication, blah, blah, blah. Like there's other, I think group therapy is one thing that can kind of help. But overall, these things aren't mutually exclusive. He did what he did and he's reaping the consequences. And I've seen quite a few people talk about, we're giving him an excuse. He lost his job. He's getting humiliated online. I don't know the relationship with him and his girl, but his girl took all her pictures off of Instagram, I believe. He's reaping a lot of consequences from his actions. What do you mean excuse other than this is just a reason why? When we look at people who are serial killers, what if we didn't know? What if we just ignored everything, which we used to do, by the way? But what if we just ignored everything that might be going on up here? It's going to be really hard to help this individual. It's going to be really hard to notice things when warning signs that things are coming. It will be really hard to prevent it from happening in the future. You need to know why these things occur, or at least have some type of basis or research behind what is making you do these certain things. It's not a matter of saying that he didn't have control completely or anything. Like the fact of the matter is this. And this is where the consequences come from for his actions. Josh Primo, he knew he had an issue, okay? He knew he had a problem, and he didn't get help for that problem. It's as simple as that, okay? He should have gotten help because he has a problem. But it's not also saying like the victims, we need to mitigate or act like the victims, weren't affected that much, and we need to. It's just all gross, man. Some of these takes that I've seen is just god awful. Another thing too, and I actually didn't mention it. Let me see if I can find it just so you can. This part. This is pretty interesting. One of the classic examples of the disorder is the phenomenon of streakers at sporting events. Those who get naked and run onto the field during play, exposing themselves to those in the stands. A lot of people take situations like this, don't take it that serious. They're just like, oh man, it's just a joke, it's funny or whatever. But no, it's in that category as well. But another thing too, and I didn't have it highlighted, so you might have to just take my word for it, or you can just go read it yourself. But oftentimes these situations, and when do they come about, is when you're in early adulthood. It's like late adolescence / early adulthood is when these tendencies start to be shown. So the Spurs saw it. They got some information. and they got on it pretty quickly. But this whole like thing where it's like, oh no, they should have just, you know, gave him a little therapy and he'll be back. And this thing that he's dealing with it's a lot for a team to handle. Okay. And I wasn't cool with like a lot of other athletes where they do certain things like Deshaun Watson, right? Like a lot of people making that comparison. But the thing is, the NFL, they're more lenient than the NBA. And on top of Deshaun Watson was pretty established as a player already. So when you look at someone like Josh Primo, it's going to be really hard for him to find another job. But I just want to talk about this because it did bother me, man. It bothered me quite a bit. But anyways, I'll give it to you guys later, man. You want to support the channel, clanthemerchfan.com, link in the description, or become a Patreon YouTube member, only $2 a month. Until next time, y'all, bye.